Inklings, I'm Bianca and welcome back to Binks Thinks. So if you are not familiar with this challenge, I am trying to do a project TBR Zero where I read all of the physical books that I have not read yet. So this is the 5th month update. If you'd like to watch the previous videos in this series, please check out the playlist down below. I have an introductory video and I've made similar videos to this one for the previous 4 months. So let's get into month 5 and see how well I did. So in my last 2 videos, I did my hauls at the start of the month, but I think for this one, I'm just going to leave the haul for the end so we can see how that went, just to spice things up a little bit. So let's get into books that I unhauled. As you can see, I've already written 0 there because I did not unhaul any books during May, but let's get to books that I read. So first off, I'm just going to talk about these 2 books together because they're quite similar. One is a treasury of bedtime stories, the other one is a treasury of nursery rhymes. So I pretty much skimmed through these and realized that they consist of a lot of stories and rhymes that I am already familiar with. So I just went back and kind of reread my favorites and it was nice looking through them. But I think I'm going to save a few of these to read one day properly if I have children or nieces and nephews. So didn't want to get too stuck into them, but I'm counting these ones as read now. So that is 2 down. Then I started reading the Magic Faraway books, these 3, and I realized that I actually miscounted them because I read them when I was little and I did not want to reread all of them. So I kind of skimmed through it again and I was like, yep, I've definitely read all 3 of these books. So I'm taking them off of my TBR. So even though I didn't technically read them now, I'm taking them off because I haven't been counting books to reread as part of this challenge, so they're just coming off of the list and I'm not adding a new category for them. So yes, that was a win. Recalculating, I suppose. Then let's get to books that I read properly. Okay, so don't be mad at me or yell at me in the comments. I read The Winterborn Home for Vengeance and Valor, which is a middle grade book by Ali Carter. I really enjoyed Ali's young adult books, which is why I picked this one up. So she's the author of the Gallagher Girls Academy, which is about teenage girls who go to a spy school, which love that. That was really fun. So I thought I'd pick this one up, but I think this was a bit too young for me and I didn't really enjoy it as much. There are some middle grades that I really enjoy, but those ones are kind of timeless and can be enjoyed by any age, so like Nevermore. Whereas this one, it was okay, probably like a 2 or 3 star read for me. I think it is really for a much younger audience. This one did count though towards the challenge, which is great. Next I read Begin Again by Emma Lord, which was really fun. I think I listened to the audiobook of this one. I do really enjoy Emma Lord's writing. I've read Tweet Cute and I think it was You've Got a Match, whatever her camping book was, and that was really fun too. This was also a really fun book. It had an interesting premise and there was a podcast and I love books about podcasts. So yeah, really enjoyed this one. Glad I finally got to it. Next I read Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, which was an interesting reason why I read this. Number one, I follow the author on Instagram and really love her personality and everything like that. I picked up the books partly because of that and also because I heard that Powerless by Lauren Roberts was kind of inspired or has a lot of things similar to Red Queen. So I thought I'd check this one out. And I did enjoy this one a lot more than Powerless, I have to say. It still wasn't a 5-star read for me, but I think this was more like young adult. It's a reasonable length. It's like at 300 and something pages, whereas Powerless is at 500. I did not like the dual POV that Powerless had, so this was single, which I think just works a lot better for YA dystopian novels. So enjoyed this one, and I think I will read the other books in the series, especially since I own them. I also read 2 books for one of my book club, which I don't own, and that was The Martian and The Martian prequel, which I really enjoyed that. They're also narrated by Will Wheaton, at least the first book is. I can't remember if I read the second or like the prequel, if I listened to that or if I read it physically, don't remember. But yes, really enjoyed both of them. I have watched the movie in the past, so reading the book was really fun, and it goes a little bit more in depth, and I think the humor was just on point, so that was really, really fun too. Then I read Bride by Ali Hazelwood. She's one of my favorite authors, and it was so fun reading a paranormal romance from her. It was unexpected, but love it. I feel like I'm back in my kind of fanfiction era, and I do actually want to go read a few fanfics, but trying to focus on my physical TBR, as we can see with this whole video. But yeah, this was a fun time. There are a few interesting parts. I think people who read from the Omegaverse will know what I'm talking about. But yeah, overall, had a great time reading this book, and it was fun, just like the rest of her books. And lastly, I finally read this chunk of a book. This is Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. It is the third book in the Last Hours trilogy, which forms part of the Shadowhunter universe books. So there are multiple series within that world, and this was the final Shadowhunter book that I had not read yet. So a couple of years ago, my friend Leia and I, we were rereading the Shadowhunter books, and we were having live discussions about it. And I think we had a bit of a Shadowhunter overload by doing that, so we kind of got sick of it around probably over 10 books in. I think like 15, 16, I don't know. But we overdid it, so we had a bit of a Shadowhunters hangover. So I'm very glad that I finally read this book. I did have to go and reread a couple of chapters of the previous book because I was kind of lost just starting this one off the bat. She doesn't like recap too much. So yes, if you are in the same boat, I recommend rereading a bit of the previous book. You don't need to reread the whole series, but just like at least the last 2 or 3 chapters before getting into this one. But yeah, had a great time, and I'm really looking forward to the other books that are going to be released in this world. I believe there's one more trilogy coming out, so very exciting. And that was the last book that I actually read that month. So we're looking good. Now let's take a look at the books that I bought. First of all, my pre-order of The Honey Witch arrived, which was really exciting, and I did want to start it, but this just has spring vibes, so I've put it on my shelf until spring starts. And this apparently has like Bridgerton, Gilmore Girls, Practical Magic-y vibes. It looks so cozy. People's reviews have been looking great, so I'm extremely excited to read this in spring. Then I bought House of Roots and Ruin by Erin A. Craig, which is a sequel to House of Salt and Sorrows. And I do own the first one. I do have the first one on my TBR shelf in my room. So I was hoping to get to that in winter, and it's still kind of wintry, so there is still time. But I bought this because Abigail's Cup of Tea on Instagram was like raving about the books, and she said that once you finish the first one, you're going to want to start the second one immediately. So yeah, I kind of caved and bought a copy. Then, drum roll for the last book I read. I only bought 3 books, which is pretty good for me, especially if you've watched my previous videos. So yes, this is the last book I bought, and this is The Bewitching Hour by Ashley Poston, and this is set in the Buffy universe, but look how pretty this is. And this is about Tara, and it says it's a Tara prequel, so I feel like this is going to be Tara's origin story, and I am all here for that, along with this stunning naked hardcover. So I'm obsessed with Ashley Poston's writing. I have loved all of her books that I've read so far, which is now 6 books, and I think I have 4 books left of hers to read. So she is on my goal list of authors whose books I own that I want to finish this year. So yes, I just had to own this one because this is the is the last book of hers that I did not own yet. So excited for this. I can't even explain. I've rewatched Buffy like 3 times. So yeah. And that brings us to the end of the video. As you can see by my stats, I did pretty well this month. I've finally gotten into the 330s, which is pretty good. If you watched March and April, you know I had my birthday, so lots of books were bought and I feel like I was going backwards, but this month I feel like I'm back on track again and making actual progress. The number is decreasing. I think I've decided now that my official goal for the end of this year is to get below 300 books. So if I can do that, that'll be amazing. Started the month with 340 books and I only have 333 books to read. So yay! Thank you so much for watching. If you are doing a similar challenge, please link it down below. I love watching other people's challenges like this. It's so much fun, so motivational. It really helps keeping me motivated and I've made so many friends, so it's been a joy. If you've watched up to here, please leave a falling leaf emoji in honor of this stunning book. And thank you so much for watching. Keep reading, Inklings. I'll see you next time. Bye.